Feel that tight ache in your chest, that heavy feeling you just can't shake? It's like a constant hum of anxiety, and you can't quite put your finger on it. Your inner voice is trying to tell you something vital, something you've been ignoring for far too long. And trust me, it will get louder. Imagine a persistent drip. At first, it's just a minor annoyance, but day after day, the sound grates on you, driving you to the edge. You start losing sleep, your nerves are frayed. Do you ignore it, hoping it will magically stop? Or do you finally investigate and fix the leak? That constant drip, that subtle irritation, that's like being stuck in a situation that slowly drains you dry. We're often told to tough it out, to be resilient, to never give up. But there's a crucial difference between strength and self-inflicted pain. Knowing when to walk away from something that's harming you isn't weakness. It's profound wisdom. It's an act of self-preservation. It's saying, I deserve better than this. I once knew someone who stayed in a job they hated for years because they felt obligated to their family. They were miserable, their health suffered, and eventually they realized they were doing more harm than good. What's more terrifying? Facing temporary loneliness or living a life that feels completely hollow. Your inner voice knows the answer. That's why it sends you those signals. The anxiety, the sadness, the unexplained irritability. It shows you repetitive patterns in your life, dreams filled with escape, a burning desire for freedom. Don't dismiss these feelings. Think back to a time when you felt something was off, but ignored it. Did things magically improve? No, usually things get worse, because your inner voice doesn't give up easily. If you continue to ignore it, it will escalate. It can manifest physically. Unexplained headaches, digestive problems, chronic fatigue. These can all be cries from your body, desperate for you to pay attention to the underlying emotional turmoil. Don't wait for it to reach that point. You don't need a logical bullet-pointed list of reasons to distance yourself from someone who makes you feel small. If they consistently drain your energy, that's reason enough. Remember, walking away isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. It's telling yourself, I value my well-being. Don't cling to what no longer nourishes you. Don't stay in situations out of fear of being alone. Solitude can be a powerful teacher. It's in those quiet moments that we reconnect with ourselves, that we heal and grow. By releasing what harms you, you create space for something new, something healthy, something that aligns with your authentic self. But first, you must let go. Trust your intuition. Listen to your inner voice. But it goes deeper than just relationships. We're also talking about unspoken loyalties, the invisible chains that bind us to expectations and past versions of ourselves. How often have you stayed in a situation that was slowly killing you because you felt obligated to fulfill a certain role, to live up to someone else's expectations? What if who you were no longer serves who you're meant to be? Your inner voice also screams at you about your internal relationship, the way you sabotage yourself, the limiting beliefs you cling to. It shows you the patterns you repeat, the behaviors you engage in simply because they feel safe, even if that safety is slowly eroding your spirit. You keep choosing what hurts you over and over. This isn't some cosmic punishment. It's your own unhealed wounds, your inherited beliefs, your unresolved fears dragging you back. Your inner voice seeks coherence, not necessarily happiness. It craves familiarity, even if that familiarity is destructive. Why? Because somewhere along the way you taught it that this is love, that this is belonging. The hardest truth is that sometimes you don't leave the people who hurt you because deep down, you believe you deserve it. You were raised in a system where sacrifice was confused with love, control with protection, dependence with intimacy. So when someone ignores you, manipulates you, or emotionally invalidates you, a part of you interprets it as normal, as familiar, as home. That's why severing those ties is so agonizing. You're not just letting go of a person, you're letting go of an identity, a belief system, a pattern that has subtly shaped your entire life. Many people get stuck, not in the pain of loss, but in the disorienting void of not knowing who they are without that pattern, without that person, without that drama. It's the emptiness that remains when you decide to release what harms you. And yes, that void is terrifying, because even destructive pain serves a purpose. It keeps you busy, entertained, anesthetized. But when you choose to free yourself, silence descends, calmness settles in, and in that stillness, your true self emerges. The one who doesn't need external validation, the one who doesn't beg for love, the one who refuses to tolerate emotional scraps. This is where many people falter. They mistake that calmness for loneliness, that void for failure. But it's not an ending, it's a rebirth. It's the fertile ground where you can finally plant something new, something authentically yours. It's not an immediate process. It hurts, but it transforms. Growth always involves loss. Real self-love is having the courage to face your shadows, to accept that you've made mistakes, that you've allowed things to continue even when you knew they were harmful. Self-love is taking responsibility. It's saying no more and holding firm even when your hands tremble. And that's where intuition comes in. That quiet inner voice that doesn't shout, that doesn't reason, that simply feels. It's always been there, but you've drowned it out with noise, justifications, and fear. Your intuition is your purest connection to your inner voice. We've glorified resistance, endurance, and suffering for love. We've romanticized clinging to impossible bonds as proof of emotional maturity. But it's not maturity, it's fear. Fear of letting go, fear of the unknown, fear of being left with nothing. But staying where there's nothing left is even worse. It's slowly killing your essence. Every time you choose to stay where you're not valued, you're sending a message, this is what I deserve. And your inner voice believes it and acts accordingly. That's why you keep encountering the same types of people, the same dynamics, the same pain, with a different name. But today can be different. Today, you can choose yourself. Not out of ego, but out of necessity, out of emotional survival, out of internal integrity. You can cut that invisible thread that ties you to what you are no longer. You can say goodbye without hate, without rage, without resentment, just with clarity and self-love. Because ultimately, no one is coming to rescue you. There's no external salvation. What there is a door, and it's always been there inside you. Opening it requires courage. The courage to look at your story without self-pity, to accept your part in it, to take control. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? The real question is, why do I keep allowing this? When you start asking that, everything begins to shift. You stop waiting for change to come from the outside, and you realize the answer has always been within. How many more times are you going to ignore the obvious? Today can be the day you decide to trust yourself. The day you decide to take a step, even without a perfect plan. The day you accept that fear won't vanish, but that you can move forward with fear. Today can be the day you listen to what you've silenced for years. And when you do, everything will change. What aligns with your truth, with your authenticity, will flow naturally, without struggle, without chaos, without exhaustion. But first, you have to create space. You have to let go. You have to close the door to who you no longer are. And that, even if you don't believe it yet, is the greatest act of love you can give yourself. Maybe you've been dismissing your intuition as anxiety, your unease as a temporary blip, your exhaustion as mere tiredness. But you can't lie to yourself anymore. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now comes the hardest part, and the most beautiful, filling that void that comes after letting go. Will you fill it with more distractions, more people who simply keep you busy so you don't have to think? Or will you fill it with truth, with intention, with purpose? Most people fear the silence because that's where their own voice resonates. And that voice isn't always kind. Sometimes it's harsh, brutal, relentless, but it's real and it's yours. Integrating that shadow is your task. And that journey begins when you decide to stop betraying yourself, when you no longer sell yourself out for the sake of belonging, when you refuse to compromise your peace to fit in. How much longer will you postpone your authenticity? How much longer will you keep living a borrowed life, surrounded by superficial smiles and empty conversations? How long will you pretend everything is fine when, inside, you just want to scream? No one is going to give you permission. In fact, many will criticize you. They'll say you've changed, that you've become cold, selfish, strange. Let them. Criticism is the echo of someone else's discomfort in the face of someone who decided to live awake. Today, you can decide not to conform. You can choose the path few dare to take, the one of being you, without masks, without adornments, without permission. And if you don't know where to start, start by listening to what your body is screaming, what your emotions are whispering, what your soul is begging. You are not weak for wanting to let go. You are not a coward for seeking peace. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. You are awakening. And that, even though it hurts, is the bravest act you can commit. Go now with questions, with rage if you need to, with courage, with discomfort. But go with something new beating in your chest.